Hello there everybody! Welcome back once again to TTBurger Game Reviews, and I am Tony, aka the one and only TTBurger88. And welcome to part 2 of my Tekken series review. Those of you who saw part 1 know that I reviewed Tekken and gave it a 7 out of 10 due to control issues and very difficult AI at certain parts of the game. Today I will be looking at the first Tekken game I ever played as a kid, and this game started my love for the series. That game is Tekken 2 on the PlayStation and arcade, also done by Namco. Getting things started here, let's talk about the story. The story of Tekken 2 takes place 2 years after the first game, where Kazuya Mishima won the King of Iron Fist tournament, defeated his father Heihachi, and threw him off a cliff. Sometime later, Kazuya Mishima became the new head of the Mishima Zaibatsu, and is responsible for holding the King of Iron Fist tournament too. And once again, the best fighters from around the world have gathered to compete in the tournament. There was also a rumor going around of Kazuya having a Dark Devil power. Now I have to say that the story is an improvement and is more detailed than the first game's story, and I like how it tells you who won the first tournament as well. Graphically, Tekken 2 is also improved over its predecessor. The character models are more detailed and animate better, a lot better than they did before. And also they look a lot less blocky here as well. The backgrounds are also improved as well, with better lighting effects and due to the fact that there are more backgrounds this time and each character has their own stage to fight in. The cutscenes have also improved. This time the characters aren't as blocky and shiny like how they were in the cutscenes in the first game. Here they have better animation and better facial expressions, and all in all they look a lot better. So the graphics are definitely a huge step forward from the first game. Sound-wise is one of the best parts of Tekken 2. The best part about the sound is still the music. Almost all the tracks from the first game are present here and are used as theme songs for the unlockable characters. The music that is exclusive to Tekken 2 sounds just as good or even better than the original game's soundtrack. Like in the first game, you have 2 soundtracks to choose from. The original arcade soundtrack, And then you have the remix soundtrack for the home version. Just like in the first game, I prefer the arcade soundtrack over the remix soundtrack. The character voices in Tekken 2 have also improved. This time, almost every character has their own voice, except for the Jack characters and such, because that is understandable because they are robots. And I have to say the sound is definitely a big improvement here. The gameplay in Tekken 2 is what has improved the most. This time the controls are much better. They aren't as stiff and clunky as they were in the first game. Here they are more responsive and much smoother, making it easier to pull off combos and special moves and such. The opponent AI is also a lot better, but there are times where they can still be very cheap, but they aren't as bad as they were in the first game. Another improvement over the first game is that there is more replay value this time, due to the fact that there are more game modes to choose from. Aside from arcade and versus mode, you have time attack mode, which is obvious, beat the game with the fastest time. You have survival mode, which is beat as many opponents as you can. You have team battle mode, where you can have up to 8 fighters on a team battling each other. And then you have practice mode, which needs no introduction. You have 10 selectable characters to choose from, including 13 unlockable characters. And this time, the arcade version also had unlockable characters as well. Now before we get started talking about the characters, I just would like to say that I know I've already mentioned most of the characters in the first game's review. However, I will be mentioning them again because they have different reasons for being in the King of Iron Fist tournament too. Beginning started with the characters, you have Chimi Shima, the main protagonist of Tekken 2. After Heihachi was defeated by his son Kazuya Mishima in the first tournament, Kazuya took over the Mishima Zaibatsu and ruled it as his own. Ever since then, Heihachi lost his fame and family, and he has spent most of his time indulging in deviant arts instead of focusing on his training. Heihachi enters the tournament to regain all he has lost. You have Paul Phoenix, the hand-to-hand fighter from the United States, who lost to Kazuya Mishima in the first King of Iron Fist tournament. After losing the tournament, Paul went back to New York and found a job as a bouncer in the South Bronx. His ego and arrogance led him into many fights with people who were no match for his judo skills. After many months of street fighting all throughout the USA, Paul enters the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2 while believing himself to be the strongest fighter in the world. You have Jack 2, who is an upgraded version of the original Jack that was also made by the Soviet Union. He has a new computer chip inside him that gives him the ability to learn from his old mistakes. Jack 2 enters the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2 to save his creator from Kazuya so he can be more human. You have King, the Mexican wrestler who placed third in the first tournament and was able to get enough money to fund the orphanage he was caring for. Unfortunately, his orphanage is running out of money due to an orphan who died under King's care and got really depressed and turned to drinking to cope with everything. With the help from his friend and rival Armor King, King enters the tournament to regain the children's love for him and put his life back together. You have Michelle Chang, who finds out her mother was kidnapped by Kazuya because he wants her pendant because it holds the secret of her great treasure. Michelle enters the tournament to rescue her mother, no matter what the cost is. You have Lei Wulong, a detective for the Hong Kong International Police Department, who developed his own style of kung fu and uses it to his advantage when taking down criminals he encounters. Lei later finds out his partner was killed by the Mafia. He then discovers that Kazuya Mishima is linked to the Mafia killings and enters the tournament to bust Kazuya and stop his organization. You have Jun Kazama, an animal protection officer for the environmental group called the WWWC, who uses a form of martial arts called Kazama Traditional Martial Arts that has been handed down from generations inside the Kazama family. Jun joins the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2 to arrest Kazuya for smuggling protected animals and also to free him of his evil power he possesses. You have Yoshimitsu, the leader of the Manji Party, discovers that his friend Dr. Geppetto Boskanovich from Russia, who saved Yoshimitsu's life, has been kidnapped by Kazuya. In order to rescue him, Yoshimitsu enters the tournament to stop at nothing to save him. You have Nina Williams, the Irish assassin who is master of Aikido and Kopo techniques. Nina is sent to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2 to assassinate Kazuya, but also decides to enter the tournament to settle a long-time score with her younger sister Anna. You have Martial Law, who now owns a martial arts dojo in San Francisco called Martial Dojo. One day, his students were attacked and seriously injured by a crazed Taekwondo teacher who will be participating in the tournament. Law enters the tournament to avenge his students and restore reputation to his gym. You also have the 13 unlockable characters that can once again be unlocked by beating arcade mode with certain characters. You have Wang Jinrei, a Chinese man who was good friends with Hayachi's father and Kazuya's grandfather, Jinpachi Mishima. Before he died, Jinpachi watched as his son and grandson went down the path of evil. Jinpachi then instructed Wang to eliminate them both when the time is right. Wang decides to enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2 to fulfill Jinpachi's dying wish, and he can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Jun Kazama. You have Kunimitsu, who is also known as the Devil Cat, was an ex-Manji Party member, like I mentioned before, who was kicked out for stealing for her own self-interest by Yoshimitsu. Feeling humiliated for what happened to her, she sought with her grandfather, who was a swordsmith with a reputation. He told her that Yoshimitsu's sword was a relic of unimaginative value. She also learns that the sword's power is transferred to its new owner each time. Kunimitsu enters the tournament to defeat Yoshimitsu and steal the sword, and she can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Yoshimitsu. You have Anna Williams, the younger sister of Nina Williams, who she hates with a passion along with hating her father. After the first tournament, Anna became one of Kazuya's bodyguards who was charged with Kazuya's protection. Anna enters the tournament to once again settle a score with her older sister and also to hear her scream when she breaks her bones. Like in the first Tekken game, Anna can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with her sister Nina. You have Baekdo-san, an expert in Taekwondo from South Korea, who had won many martial art tournaments until an injury made him quit. This caused Beck and his family into terrible poverty and angered him a lot. Due to him being angry over the situation, Beck accidentally killed his father during a heated argument. Grieving over what he did, Beck was taken into police custody where he spent most of his childhood. After 3 years, he fled the police and took to the streets of South Korea and became a strong pit fighter. Little did Beck know that a secret organization that had been aware of his past had been tracking him. They manipulated Beck into assassinating martial law because his property was wanted by them. However, Beck was only successful into attacking Law students. Beck enters the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2 to finish his task and destroy Law, and he can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with martial law. You have Lee Chaolan, the adopted son of Heihachi Mishima and the stepbrother of Kazuya Mishima. Heihachi adopted Lee after he befriended Kazuya at the age of 12. As time passed, Lee started feeling like he was living in Kazuya's shadow, due to the fact that Kazuya was a year older than him. This caused a bit of rivalry between them both, which transformed into a pure hatred for each other. This grew until Kazuya defeated Lee in the first tournament. Lee then sank into a deep depression and ran away to the mountains. Then an old man trained him with new techniques and got him back on track. Lee then killed the old man with his new techniques and enters the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2 to get revenge on Kazuya, and he can be unlocked for beating arcade mode with Heihachi. You have Kuma, Heihachi's pet bear and bodyguard, who lost to Paul Phoenix in the first tournament. Kuma was very impressed with Paul's fighting skills since he thought no one would be as strong as Heihachi. Afterwards, both he and Heihachi fled to a mountain dojo to train for the next tournament. Kuma enters the King of Iron Fist tournament, vowing to destroy Paul and to eat anyone who gets in his way. Like in the first game, Kuma could be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Paul Phoenix. You have Prototype Jack, who was remodeled by Kazuya Mishima after the first tournament, when he complained that his alter ego received a refit and repeated his plea until he ran out of fuel. Prototype Jack was left untouched for months and was resting at Kazuya's laboratory until a backup fuel supply reactivated him. Then he pleaded for a new look. Dr. Sebastian Boskanovich remodeled Prototype Jack and enters the tournament believing his encounter with Jack 2 will be much different. Prototype Jack can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Jack 2. You have Armor King, who is a rival and friend of King. After the first tournament, Armor King learned from the orphanage that King had gone missing after an orphan died in his care. Worried about his old friend, Armor King went to search for King and found him in an alley, totally drunk and mentally broken. He threw King his leopard mask and told him about the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2, and made King see that King still had a chance to put his life back together. Armor King enters the tournament to punish King for his actions after the first tournament and to defeat him. Like in the first Tekken, Armor King can be unlocked for beating arcade mode with King. You have Ganru, the Japanese sumo wrestler, who was the youngest sumo wrestler to gain the Ozeki rank. After losing to Yoshimitsu in the first tournament, Kazuya hired him as one of his bodyguards when he took over the Mishima Zaibatsu. Ganru is participating in the tournament not only as Kazuya's bodyguard, but also to express his feelings for Michelle Chang, whom he fell in love with after the first tournament. This time, Ganru can be unlocked for beating arcade mode with Michelle Chang. You have Bruce Irvin, a kickboxer who became the undisputed kickboxing champion for 5 years. Bruce got his strength after being on the streets causing fights to survive after his parents and brother were killed at an early age. During a Muay Thai tournament in Thailand, Bruce was paid to ring a fight and lose, but instead decided to beat his opponent to death. Afterwards, the bookie of the Muay Thai gym sent a hired killer after Bruce, but failed to catch him because he fled by plane. Unfortunately, the hired killer and a Hong Kong detective were on the plane and caused a full-blown out battle between the three of them, causing the plane to crash. The detective, who was Lang Wulong's partner, and the hired killer were killed on impact, but Bruce survived and was thrown free from the wreckage. He was later found by Kazuya's men in a remote area, who took him to Kazuya, who then gave Bruce a job as a combat fighter. Bruce enters the tournament under Kazuya's command, and he can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Lei Wulong. You have Roger and Alex, who are military experiments. Roger is a kangaroo, and Alex is a velociraptor, who were created by Dr. Boskanovich, who wanted to combine genes of wild animals and martial arts fighters. They were then stolen by Dr. Abel and is keeping them in his secret laboratory. To unlock Roger and Alex, you must complete Stage 3 in arcade mode by getting a grade, which means you must beat Stage 3 with very little health remaining. An interesting tidbit here is that if you beat Stage 3 with a grade with Roger and Alex, the Stage 4 fighter will be Kuma. You have Kazuya Mishima, who is the son of Heihachi Mishima and the winner of the first tournament, who organized the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2. He became the head of the Mishima Zaibatsu after defeating Heihachi and threw him off a cliff, the same way he was thrown off a cliff by Heihachi when he was a kid. Kazuya can be unlocked for beating arcade mode with all 10 starting characters. Also, after you beat arcade mode with Kazuya, you can unlock Kazuya's purple suit costume, which is also his boss costume. To select this costume, press the start button at the character selection menu. And finally, we have Devil Kazuya and Angel, the final boss of arcade mode, which I will talk about separately. First, we will talk about Devil Kazuya. Like I mentioned before, when Kazuya was a child, he was thrown off a cliff by his father Heihachi. When he climbed back up, he was approached by an entity known as Devil that gave him the power to defeat Heihachi in exchange for his soul. Kazuya accepted the offer, and he and Devil combined into Devil Kazuya and was able to defeat Heihachi in the first tournament. Devil Kazuya can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Kazuya. Now I will talk about Angel. Not much is known about her except that her goal is to defeat the devil and save Kazuya because she believes there's still some good left in him. To play as Angel, press the X button at the character selection menu with devil highlighted. A couple improvements have been made to the unlockable characters in Tekken 2. First off, this time they have their own endings and most of them have their own moves, unlike the first game where most of the unlockable characters were palette swaps of other characters, which makes the unlockable characters more playable this time around. And there really isn't much more I have to say about the gameplay besides the fact that it makes a lot of improvements over its predecessor, even though a few problems still remain. Now for my final rating. Tekken 2 is definitely a huge improvement over the first game due to better controls and more replay value and such that makes this game a must-buy. I give Tekken 2 a 9 out of 10 due to the opponent AI still being overly difficult at times. Stay tuned for part 3 where I will cover Tekken 3. This is Tony, aka TTBurger88. Peace out, and see you all in part 3.